So when you start out your private practice, that alone is worth celebrating, right? The acknowledgement of your desire and dreams and pursuing those things. And then we move into, well, you start pursuing it and creating it. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And we create something and either we love it or it becomes unsustainable. So how do we know where to make change? And whenever we're looking to make change in our business so that our life is more balanced, we want to look at external and internal motivation for making a difference in our practices. The truth of the matter is that there's not a perfect practice. You will be evolving over time as your life changes, circumstance changes. That is something that the pandemic has definitely shown us, that we have to adapt and be flexible. If we're wanting to make a change, we can get change where we get support from. We can change our knowledge by, learning new skills, finding the gaps in what we know intellectually, change our environment and looking at, am I in a place where I feel safe in order to flourish, where I feel supported in order to flourish? Have I created a model of my practice that supports what I need in my life? And then we also need to look at the internal areas that need shift, right? So that's mindset and beliefs and the narratives that we're ascribing to and maybe playing out over and over again in our business. So we're taking both external and internal change in order to shift something in our private practice. Sometimes people think, I'm going to change my private practice. I'm going to follow this plan, which is very intellectually based in a lot of ways. But if we don't hold in tandem the internal shifts that need to happen, then that plan is going to stall out at some point when we hit places that need a mindset shift, or we're going to do something so calculated that it's not connected to our heart and therefore still doesn't satisfy the changes that need to happen. So when you're looking at making changes in your practice, you want to look at what needs to shift externally for that to happen and what needs to shift internally. So for example, when I've been talking to people who have been interested in joining boot camp, but they have a few more questions, one of the questions I ask is, if you were to do boot camp and you did your first round and you look back and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. What needs to change in your life and in your business? And hands down, every time there is a external shift that needs to happen, but it's connected to an internal shift, right? We need both. We need all of those things to happen. Can't just shift the external if we still haven't dealt with the internal things that need to evolve as well. As your practice evolves, you will evolve as a therapist, as a leader, as an innovator in this field of psychology, right? Do you think of yourself as an innovator? Or are we just carbon copying what everybody else does? No, we want to provide the best income for people, best outcomes for people while we are still getting a great income. Outcomes and incomes, they go together, right? But in order to address that, it can't just be the external. It can't just be, I need to do X, Y, Z, and I will get there. We also need to deal with the internal. What do we believe about ourselves? What do we believe about money? What do we believe about the work that we do? Stop for a minute and just ask yourself, as a therapist, what is my role in my community, in this world, this field of psychology? How am I making an impact, right? That is priceless. And when we don't hold on to that, any kind of plan or external change that we're trying to make is going to fall short of this amazing, beautiful thing that we do to contribute to the world and to future generations. So anytime you're wanting to make a difference or to shift something in your practice, you can't ignore the intrinsic value of what you do, who you are as a human being, how you feel, what you seek and desire to do in the world. There's a plan that goes with that, but they go together. Same thing, if people just focus on mindset but never acquire the skills, never learn best practices, never consider the impact of those practices on the outcomes of the client, our shift and change in practice is going to fall short. So we want both external and internal shifts every time when we're looking to change our business. We've tolerated so much, and this pandemic has eliminated the ability to tolerate so much. And so now we need to make some changes. What was working a year ago, seeing the amount of clients you were seeing, may not be working now. What you were doing a year ago in terms of your schedule may not be working anymore. Because why? We've internally shifted. We've had changes. We've had realizations and development and awareness. And then on top of that, we have this business that is a reflection or a part of ourselves, an extension of that. So if we aren't acknowledging those shifts in our business, we're going to burn out. If we're not recognizing, something's changed within me. I can't keep going like this. I need to change it. That's never going to happen in the business. So when we are coming together to make a difference in our business, there's many ways to do it, but you always want to address your internal world with your external world. And that's what Bootcamp really does. It's not just, hey, here's the formula for a great website. Hey, here's how you market. There is that. But then you also have to address the mindset. What's going on for you internally? What do you really desire? What do you feel good about?